Plus size is a term that is used in the fashion and design world to classify models and consumers of fashion with great emphasis to their body size. Interchangeably with plus size model are terms like full-figured model, extended sizes model, outsized models. We've even gone to the extent of saying large size model. The term plus size led to an industry of its own, with models, designers, and stores still functional today, but did not exist without its fair share of criticism. Even a campaign to end the plus size began with the caption, "I am a model, full stop," and the hashtag, "drop the plus." But what does that mean for us Africans? Do we categorize ourselves by the same dress sizes devised in the West? For this and more, stay tuned as we discuss the ideas that make this continent move. My name is Gilmore T, the Global Citizen, and you are watching your favorite show, ThathaWena. Research claims that the plus-size fashion industry is worth approximately $17.5 billion, with individuals such as Nilton Makaju encouraging plus-size models to take up modeling as a career. Unfortunately, we are living in a space where our ideas do not matter, our concepts do not matter. Hence, we find pleasure in adopting what is foreign to us and make our normal foreign. In this episode, we're going to talk about classifications and the titles we hold and give, especially to Africans. Plus-size models, melanin models, African writer, African actor, you name it. Later on, we're going to get some views on this subject matter, and we're going to close down with our favorite segment, What Grinds My Gears, a segment that addresses social ills we can improve by ourselves, for ourselves. Joining me in studio are two outstanding individuals. One is the head of a merchandise division for the largest clothing company in Zimbabwe and in Africa. And she's also served there for 31 years, can you believe? And the other one, she calls herself an empress. She's a mother. She's a social commentator. She has even acted almost naked, if not naked at all, just to prove a point on how comfortable she is in her skin. Ladies, welcome.
Thank you, Gilmore.
It's good to have you. So that's the merchandiser, Leslie, and that's the empress.
And the naked one.
The naked one. Talking about our topic today, there's a lot of stigma around big-bodied women. Is yes or no in the industry?
Yes, there is. I don't know if it's stigma. There's just a lot of talk. There's some that love it. Those that love it, love it. Those that don't love it, don't love it. And that's really sad because everyone should love it.
Why should they love it so?
It's amazing. We come from the part of the world where I don't even think it's full-figured women, where normal-sized women are everywhere. Our mothers, our sisters, our aunts. I am. And so somehow that doesn't translate to fashion or the catwalk or the front page or billboards, because on billboards and magazines and we see all these people that you're like, who that girl? You know? And when you walk on the street, it's different because then you see this kind of girl. And so there's that problem, that tiny problem.
Leslie, in the clothing sector, I mean, what are your thoughts?
I think in the industry, we haven't been as kind to every figure of woman as we ought to have been. But I think that now there is a realization that we have a responsibility to women to represent who we really are. And I think that, you know, the industry is changing its perception. We are seeing the potential in the business. You know, it is a growing business worldwide. I think it's difficult sometimes to always execute well because when you look at it, the fuller-figured woman is a percentage of our business. It's a business we want to grow, but you experiment and you try, and it takes a long time to get it right. You know, because, you know, we can be accused of catering for one type of sort of lifestyle, and you don't get it right, and maybe you go too mature in your look, and then you try and go for a younger look, and then your customers don't respond as well as you would like. So it's all a numbers game, and it's really difficult to always hit the right number, always get the right styling, you know. So I think it's something that we're learning. But body shapes, the acceptability is changing, and I've seen over 31 years that we've gone from, you know, super skinny, super tall, to different body shapes being celebrated. And if you look now at the Kardashians, I think they've made bottoms really fashionable. And suddenly people are looking to have
Fake ones.
implants.
Fake
and
ones.
yes, fake ones. And yet we've had all these women who've had the real deal for so long, and they haven't been celebrated, but now's the time to shine, you know. So I think you've got to understand fashion goes in cycles, and now things are changing, and you've got to just sort of grab it now and make the most of it.
But also, don't you, I like what you say, that sometimes you look into magazines and you don't see yourself. Sometimes it's just not seeing yourself as you being in the magazine, but it's like you can't relate to anybody. And I'm going to quote what you said in one of our national newspapers. So you said, I am a model because I want to prove that a full body is not something to be ashamed of, but rather something to be celebrated. Let's talk about it.
Yes, because I think I should not, there's a lot of body shaming going around, whether it's for skinny people, that's what they call them, or for fuller figured people, too much back and forth. And I think I should be able to celebrate my body as I am. I'm a woman, so my body tends to grow sideways, and more sideways than, you know, and I should be able to celebrate that. That my hips are wider should not be something that means I can't walk into a shop and try on clothes. So I have wide hips and a small waist and a not so small top. So that in itself should be celebrated, that I have a different body shape, and I would love to get dressed and not have to walk in like, no, sorry, we don't carry your size. Or I have to end up wearing maternity clothes or older women clothes, or I want to be celebrated. I'm 35, so I want to dress like a 35-year-old professional and feel as beautiful as I am, not to look like something, like I'm going to a funeral, or because that's the only line they would carry for my size. So we should celebrate it. It should be celebrated.
She mentioned something about going into a fashion house and trying clothes and there's nothing that fits her. But you are in the business. I mean, does it mean why we're not finding this kind of fashion is because it costs a lot of in production, or what?
It does cost a lot. What we find is we have to have specific runs for specific sizes. So we can't just run the one style all the way from a size 8 to a 28, for example. You have to, in production, you generally have to split those sizes out because it doesn't make production sense. So it is costly to a business to do the plus sizes specifically, and not all factories can get the shaping right. So as a retailer, you have to work with someone for a while before you get the blocks right and before those garments look as good in a bigger size as they do in a smaller size. It's just practically the way it works. So it's not always easy. And some things we do try as retailers to take from a smaller size all the way through to a bigger size. Some things just don't work, and they wouldn't look, we don't think they would look good. So we then put specific sizing and styling into those bigger sizes. And we don't always get it right. You know, sometimes we'll have that reaction from customers say, well, I went in and you had big sizes, but hey, you know, it wasn't me. So it's a niche that we're always trying to find the balance. You know, and it's the balance financially. It's, yes, we want to satisfy customers, but at the same time, does it make financial sense? So there's always you know, that juggling act. And I think we're seeing more and more retailers going out and opening speciality stores where a plus-size woman can go in and feel very at home because there is a much wider range of product. So I think that's nice. Some customers celebrate that and enjoy that. Others might say, why do I have to go into a store that is specifically those sizes? So really, it's all a case of how an individual feels. You know.
Patience, you smiled when she was talking.
No, it's just, for me, I think the biggest issue that I have with that is that at times I don't want to wear what smaller people are wearing because, like you're saying, it would not look good on me. So maybe the people that make, I always want to ask, the people that are making the clothes, I'm sure they could say something. We have designers. Gilmore will know that I have an issue with designers that are my size, but they refuse to make clothes for me because the one thing that I've heard before is that it's expensive to make clothes for people my size. And I'm thinking, we have women in positions of power that are bigger than I am, can afford the clothes. So where is this money going? And then we want to cry that our manufacturing industry is suffering because people are buying clothes from outside and blah, blah, blah. But is it not because there's a certain part that is being missed? And women, say politicians, we have parliament that opens. Those women must be dressed. There's very few skinny women in parliament,
Right.
but they must always go to work every day. They go on trips. They stand there and they represent me, you, everybody. Who's dressing them?
Sure.
So they're being dressed by countries, by other people that are making money, because I wanted to name names, but... So then how do we grow from that? Because that's my biggest worry, that we have more... We've got quite a lot of women with the badonkadonk, to say. Yes, and if they're not finding sizes, who's dressing them and where's that money going to? Which is my biggest concern. Where's the money going to?
Are you posing that to Leslie or me?
To both of you.
Earlier you mentioned about being like a niche. We all come from full-bodied families. So isn't that already available market that we could take advantage of?
It is, but the percentage is much smaller than what we call the regular sizes. And I hate to, I know the term can be, I don't want to be offensive, but what we would term the regular sizes in a production run, which are the sizes that are easier to make together. Obviously, there is a bigger percentage in that than in the sizes that are on the extreme sides of the curve, because don't forget, we also have the other extreme, which is the petite women. And to be honest, there's even less catering for the petite women in this country than there is to the plus size women, because those girls are smaller, they're shorter, so all the measurements have to change. And it's something that as retailers we've also looked at and want to develop further at the right time. We just right now are a little bit more constrained.
If I could jump in and say, I would love to know what is a normal size.
Well, when I'm saying regular, I'm just meaning the sizes that generally a production run would accommodate quite comfortably. So it's normally about an 8 to an 18, 8 to a 22.
Okay.
So anything outside of that, like there's a lot of size 4s and size 6s, not a lot, but there are some girls who are that size. They're having to go buy from the kiddies department because, not because we want them to, but because that's where, the clothes actually fit. And so we get those complaints. And then obviously we need to cater for the women who are out of that 22 range,
So is it not best then to have maybe a tailor in the stores?
We do. In some stores, we do have tailors who tend to focus more on fixing the men's suits and hem the trousers and that sort of thing. But so yes, again, it's an investment because it's somebody you need to employ and you need to make sure that you're maximizing them. And I think retailers have seen that it's not really cost effective. And so with all the cost cutting that you have to do as a retailer, those are sort of the fringe areas that go first, because it's not mainstream. And most of us retailers are, we're commercial mainstreamers. So we need to look at speciality departments, we need to look at speciality stores to actually get that right. And I think in South Africa, you can see that there's a lot of inroad into that, and there's a lot more stores that are opening for that woman and servicing them very well. Because I've gone into some of those stores and thought, wow, I wish I could shop here. So I think that's great. And it will come to Zimbabwe. It's just a matter of time and finances.
But I think we're there, we're progressing, because of late we have designers such as Yvette Ndaba. She's doing incredible stuff. She's actually designing for people back home, someone who's her aunt, someone who's her mom. And I think we're progressing. Patience, you have a lot to say about designers, and you keep smiling at me.
Do you know, the thing that I love about Yvette is that she went on and did an underwear line. I think that's what you call it. And people were raving about it. And I just wanted to say, fuller-figured women wear underwear. I don't know where you've been hiding, but this is life, because we don't have that. So it's all these things where what I love about her is that she's taken her struggle and put it to work. And it's doing really well. And I'm hoping that even local designers, even fashion houses, everyone can take that initiative and realize that the one thing because I know her, and she's like, the problem here is this. This is what's
Yes,
missing.
yes,
So I'm going to come in and do it. And so that I love. But when someone who's my size says to me, Patience, I can't carry your line because what was I told? My look would not look good on you. You're not the kind of woman I deal with. I'm there thinking, I'm sorry that you don't have talent to make me look good, because you should be able to look good, to make everyone look good across the board, like you're saying, from petite to the plus size. So I have that problem where I'm like, it's an issue of talent, and that's not me.
Welcome back. You're still watching ThathaWena with Leslie Williams and Patience Apiri. Ladies, you're very exciting to have on set.
Thank you.
So research shows that fashion for full-figured individuals robs in about $17.5 billion annually. Don't you think we're missing out?
Yes.
Before she responds.
I think we are, and obviously there is a market for it, and we haven't fully exploited it, but it will come. It will come. I think there's a lot of interest in trying to do it right, but like I said, it's an investment, and when you're juggling with all the challenges we have in the industry right now, it is a little bit more difficult just to turn it on. But I think there's definitely a will to do it.
No, but I know that fashion companies, they have their own specific markets. They target a certain market. But then who defines the market?
Customer.
Patients, yes.
The people that are there, like I keep going back to the point that we are in sub-Saharan Africa, where most women have a lot going on. Is it the top half? Is it the bottom half? Some are lucky they have everything. We have bellies that are like 1 tire, 2 tires, 3 tires. We have everything going. We have the thighs. They call them Thatha thighs. That's what they're called. So for us to be in this part of the world and not be appreciated and still have to conform to European standards where size 0 is the in thing. And I'm like, even if I tried, my bone structure does not allow me to be a size 0. I was hoping that by now we would be at that stage where there's a lot happening, and being this generation where we're saying we're going back to our African roots and we're being African proud and all these things, should that not be one of the biggest things? Because fashion is a people. So should that not be considered as one of the things that we go into? Like really look at it and say, like you're saying, have more shops opening up, if that is what it takes, where everyone feels I am at home. I can walk in. I like to dress up and bring some Africanness into my professionalism, and I don't want to wear a suit. I believe this could be a power suit in my African print. So can we not have more of that? And when I say African, I don't want to wear the long
Print.
no.
Yeah.
You want to feel sexy, you say that.
Yes, I want to feel like I'm a young person who's really proud, and who I want to contribute also to my country by buying local, because that is what would keep it. But if I have to take my money and get on a flight and go to a destination, I shall not mention, am I not taking away from your industry and putting people out
From
of
our
work?
industry, because we are all involved.
Yeah.
We love to dress
Yeah.
up, so it's not...
So am I not taking away from that industry and taking the money elsewhere? And then we come back and say the industry is suffering, we can't do anything, and we still do nothing, and the money still goes. So it becomes a vicious circle.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think the thing is, industry is struggling, really struggling. And so it does take something to really pick yourself up and to look for the opportunities and to then invest in them. Because you're going to need the right designer, the right factory, the right fabrication. And you mentioned the thing about African attire. Again, that obviously is something important in Africa, that we have representation of that type of fabric in stores. And it's something that is a little bit elusive, because there are quite a few players in the market. There's boutiques and you see things. So for a major retailer to get it right is more of a challenge. It's not impossible, but it is a challenge. And there's a lot of niche businesses out there.
Yes.
So for us, we're, I'm a sort of commercial retailer, not, what I'm saying. So you try and take aspects of different things into your mainstream commercial ranges. And sometimes you really get it right and sometimes you miss the mark. And I think that's a challenge to us.
But I think it might also be a challenge because we all come in different sizes. So you might just need to choose which size you'd like to cater. I mean, even if it's the full-figured, some are big at the top, some are big at the bottom, some are big everywhere. And some are too slim here at the top, etc. So I guess it's about the niche. Patience, you're like, Kiyomo is talking about
one of a kind mold.
No, there is, I don't think even in the smaller sizes, there is just one. With every person is different sizes. Like she was saying that with the men, they have a person in there to make sure that there's always something that has to be tweaked. And I get that. All I am saying is we want to be a people that's counted. I know that matters. I don't want to have to walk in and have to go to the granny side or the pregnancy side, or I want to walk in and say, okay, so I love this. This is a size 16. It's my size. So maybe they need to take it in just a bit here because my waist is smaller, or maybe they need to take it up because maybe I want to show some leg or something. But it shouldn't be too way out. That's my biggest thing, that it shouldn't be too way out, that it's bigger women want to cover it up. No, we don't want to cover it up. We got good sides to us, because people think like I need to wear a sack and cover everything up and then just walk out. I don't want to do that. I want fitted clothes, because then if I wear, she would know that if you put a sack on me, it would make me look 5 times bigger and I would be miserable. But if it's fitted, it would be good, would it not? It would.
Very interesting conversation. I really think that businesses in the clothing industry should view these voices for bigger sizes and petite as an opportunity to expand, because I believe they should aim at being relevant to our people, their mothers, their sisters, their uncles, their fathers. They're all plus size people. Most of them actually are plus size. So it's very important that we also become relevant to our society. I also think people should teach themselves to be appreciative of themselves and their bodies. We are all beautiful in our own ways. Because if there's anything that is bad, it is body shaming. And we as a society should do away with that. I wonder what other people have to say about this issue of classifications, body size, plus size, petite bodies, all these things that we seem to categorize as individuals. Here's what some people have.
Okay, I'm a bit fussy about what I wear. And when I get into a shop, I would find perhaps that the jacket fits well and the pants don't.
I think for the runway, that normal size does come into account, because you do find a lot of Africans, in as much as we have family members that are fuller figured, you do find Africans that are small who do fit the criteria, and you don't want to be giving everybody on the runway. It's yes, in as much as anyone can and be a model, but then you're just trying to select, I guess.
Unfortunately, in life, there always will be classifications. We cannot run away from it. There will be leaders, followers, and those that are just indifferent. And based on our physiology, there will be the, as you say, plus size, and there will be the slimmer ones. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with classifying, because if I have to castigate it, it means I'll be castigated for classifying. I only do men's clothes.
There's not much of a difference, to be honest. It's costly when you're doing something custom, because it's for that person in particular. Nobody else can fit, because as human beings, yes, there's certain sizes that we have, size 10, size 12 or whatever, but then there's just some certain people who have got their own body figure. You can find that someone is a size 8 on top and a size 14 at the bottom, you know, that type of thing. If I'm making something custom made, it's for you, so it has to be more expensive.
What Grinds My Gears is a segment that addresses social ills that we as a society are able to improve for ourselves and by ourselves. What grinds your gears?
You know what grinds my gears? You know those guys abahlala emakhoneni laphana and when it passes umuntu ongumfazi bengambiza engayekela ukusabela and they start cursing and cursing and cursing. Mina kuyangicaphula konkuyana because you know kuyasiyehlisa thina njengabantu abamadoda. because thina even lathi esikwanisa ukukhuluma labantu abangabafazi sisuka sibe the blame lathi sesingena ebantwini labana abayizinto ezimbi into ezi-wrong ziziyana. You know, it's one of the things eziyenza abantu begcine sesithi men are trash. Men are not trash, but then there are some men who are trash. But then sebesiphambanisa thina esi-right, thina esibahle kangaka, so amankazana abasasikhangeli ngenxa ukuthi they just case abantu abafazi, and then sebekublemela konke kithi thina singamadoda. Kuyangibhoka kakhulu konkena in the society. Vele akungichazi nje la kancane.
I think as a society, it's very important for us to embrace one another because we all come in different sizes, different colors, different textures of our own hair. Growing up, I remember and it's something that we used to celebrate. So what happened to that? It's very important for us to celebrate ourselves. And of course, we would love to hear from you. So please join us on our social media platforms. I'm sure by now you should know which handles you should follow. My name is Gilmore T, the Global Citizen, and thank you so much for being a part of our family here at ThathaWena.